this is lots of people who have had this great idea, and we're right here joining with them um, through the Course of Miracles. So, Zulma Gonzalez, this mic is all yours.
Well, hi Jack. Let me start like that. Hi Jack. Hey everyone. Each and every one. Hello and thankful Thursday to each and every only one of us. Yeah, I am so glad. Oh my God, Jack Roddy. Dove, hi. Good morning, Dove. Good morning, Lynn, Sharon, Lindy. Thank you for being in the room here with me. I'm going to need you all today because today there's questions and which I don't want to answer by myself. Um, this all happened yesterday, last evening, as a matter of fact, where I was asked three questions. And it takes me more than that time to I was thinking about it and like, you know what? I'm gonna rely on uh the voices other than my own, others who are hearing the voice for God to come up with answers to these particular questions. And I am going to be sharing this Zoom this as a YouTube. I'm going to be sharing it with the two people that asked the questions. So, um, before I do that, we'll start as we always do. Um, share my screen that I am not ready to share. I thought I was, but I'm not. Okay, we'll do it anyway. We'll do it this way. And I want this. All right. So today being the no, it's not June 27th. What am I looking at? Nope, nope, unshare. Wrong one.
While you're doing that, Zoma, I have to say, our group is kind of being overwhelmed by people from Pennsylvania. What's going on?
Hey, this is the city of brotherly love, and yeah, this is the state of of brotherly love and sisterly affection. Hey, hey, love in the house. Love is in the house. Love is in the house. All right, let me find the right slide PowerPoint slow show here. All right, okay, here we go. Here we go. So, um, I didn't pretty up the slides today. I didn't, today's, I didn't pretty them up. We have what we have. So, and this should be in slideshow presentation. I am, I'm slow this morning. I have to say that I'm having a physical thing. Um, and we all know when we get these physical things, how we feel about that. Um, let's see. Now, tell me what you see in front of you. Do you just see A Course in Miracles meets the Science of Mind and the date, or did you,
Yeah,
or you, oh,
with
okay,
the
that's not the
yeah
one.
the
That's,
slide with the pictures, Science of Mind and Course of Miracles.
that's not the one I want. I mean, I do, but not that one. Um, let's see if I can get this right. I want number two. Still says the same thing. However, um, however, I can do it this way. There we go. There we go. Um, the Science of Mind meets A Course in Miracles. There we go. Screen two. I'll come back to screen one later. Um, and not just the science of mind, but other mental sciences, because as Lynn just mentioned, this didn't the download that Helen received um, came from various sources, which were then channeled through, um, as we're taught, through Jesus, as we're taught. Um, and there's always a question of, so in the Bible, we don't hear about Jesus anymore after the age of 12 until the age of 30. Now, it's been said that he traveled to India and he traveled to other places to receive a lot of what he see, the teachings that he received, that he then brought back on the scene when he came back to the area where the Bible is then recorded. And that may or may not be true. I don't know, but I wasn't there, and I'm not in a position to just, pick up the phone, make the phone call, and just ask. So, uh, with that, Um, um, what I do know is that prior to the course, there were others, many others. What's known as the New Thought movement began back in 1895 with a gentleman named Phineas Quimby, who was doing some physical healing to people, which is where Mary Baker Eddy, who was the founder of Christian Science, got it, and it sent her into receive the physical healing, and that started a movement of its own. And from her, through her, came several of writers and authors and uh, people that we know of, and that would be Ernest Holmes and Emmett Fox and Joel Goldsmith and several others. Uh, and then through them came others. Louise Hay came through Raymond Charles Barker, who came through Ernest Holmes. So they're all mixed up in there. They're all mixed up in there, and all of these teachings came to be their writings came before the course. And it's known that Helen's mother was she studied Christian Science, and there's no doubt that this clinical psychologist Helen Schuckman was an avid reader, and she I understand that her nanny taught her the Bible, to read the Bible, and she loved the Bible. So it just makes sense that what came through her was what was in her, and that was a combination of all these things. But it came and it came through in such a way that ultimately it became a spiritual guide for me anyway, and for so many others, and I'm so grateful for that. So all that being said, uh, um, but I'm having a physical issue. Let me go back to that. I'm having a physical. Oops, wrong one. Go back. Go back. Um, the reminder, Egyptian proverb that the kingdom of heaven is within you, and whoever shall know himself shall find it. Now, we first read that in the Bible, and then we read that in the course. The kingdom of heaven is you, is how the course reminds us, and it is. The kingdom of heaven is us, uh, and it has to be, because the course teaches that God is in everything. God is in everything and everywhere, and therefore God has to be. As the course also reminds us that we are part of God. So the kingdom of heaven is within me, and that is when we do that Lord's Prayer. I say, "Our Father which art within." There it is. If it's in heaven, then there it is. The course tells us that above everything, the goal of the course is to know ourselves. And in this proverb, it comes to say that whoever shall know himself shall find the kingdom of heaven. And of course, let me remind you to mind your mind. That slide is incorrect. That should be a Course in Miracles. I'll take care of that. Anyway, Dr. Ernest Holmes from the Science of Mind textbook reminds us that to learn how to think is to learn how to live. And that this is a course from the course. This is a course in mind training. All learning involves attention and study at some level. And I'll say that over and over again. This is a course in mind training. This isn't a course in trying to fix anything out there, anybody out there, who's wrong and who's right and who's big and who's small, and what I think I am and who I think they are. This is a course in mind training. This is a course in me training my mind. And the course reminds us it's not about changing our behavior, it's about changing our mind. It's a result of the changing of mind. Behavior does change. However, hey, Glorian, good to see you. Um, as a result of that, and as a result, the mind does the behavior does change, but it has to begin in the mind, because only the mind is real. That is what's real in the mind of God. We draw from that mind to be to be to be and to have. We are everything. We have everything. But the whole idea, the whole concept of being begins with God. There's not in the past, not in the future, just now is, and God is, and therefore we are. This is a course in mind training, and all learning involves attention and study at some level, because an untrained mind can accomplish nothing. Nothing, nothing, nothing. That goes without explaining. Thoughts and things, Dr. Ernest, ends of the same proposition. Since it is impossible to stop thinking, we cannot stop creating. Our choice is whether we shall create constructively, or I insert the word make here, destructively. The course teaches that that making, that that level 2 is that we make it from, that's that whole tangible thing, and level 1 in spirit, that we can simply create. But thoughts and things are the same, and the course tells us the reason for that is because all thinking produces form at some level. And Dr. William Walker Atkinson backs that up by saying that the mental pattern must always precede the the material form. The mental pattern must always precede the material form. So, okay, I want to start today with a couple of the declarations of belief by Ernest Holmes, backed up, of course, with the course. And the first one is that we believe that heaven is within us, and that we experience it to the degree that we become conscious of it. I'll repeat that. We believe that heaven is within us. The course would say that heaven is us, and that we experience it to the degree that we become conscious of it. Which brings me to one of my favorite quotes from the course, is that the habit of engaging with God and his creations is easily made if you actively refuse to let your mind slip away. The habit, the habit, the habit of engaging with God. We experience it to the degree that we become conscious of it, Ernest Holmes says. The habit of engaging with God and his creations is easily made. Actively refuse to let your mind slip away. So I hear people say, well, yeah, I pray in the morning and I pray at night. And I'm praying throughout the day. And it's not, I'm not, it's not stop, drop, and get on your knees type of prayer. No, it's throughout the day, just reminding, self, Father, Spirit, I'm recognizing you here now in the moment when something's not feeling the way I want it to. Review 1 reminds us of that we need our learning most when things aren't going the way we want them to. So and as we develop this habit and develop this habit and develop this habit, it becomes automatic. It just becomes automatic. One of the questions, one of the things that a person, one of the questions that's asked me, well, no, they say to me, well, you say this like it's something that's supposed to happen automatically. No, this is something that for me happened over time, over years. For years. I didn't just, pick up the course yesterday. I didn't just, pick up any of the mental sciences just yesterday. I've been studying, starting with the course since 1992, and easing my way, working my way slowly, gradually, coming to study groups, reading, listening to different teachers, and listening to the course, and the continual involvement I have been engaging. And and one of the questions is, I know what I want to change, and how do I change? And this is part of that answer. It's a matter of engaging. It's being willing to practice, no matter what. Practice. And yes, you may decide, may forget in the morning that yesterday you decided that was what you were going to do. You thought about it last night. You didn't think about it this morning. You don't beat yourself up. You just keep it moving. But we'll get to that. The other uh, spiritual principle from Ernest Holmes is, we believe in the unity of all life, and that the highest God and the innermost God is one God. We believe that God is personal to all who feel this indwelling presence. And from the course, simple reminder that God is in your memory, that God is in everything we see, because God is in our mind. God is everywhere, always. God always is. God always is. And when we're thinking, when we think we're thinking apart from God, that's when we cause ourselves the misery, the heartache, the pain that we allow ourselves to experience. So the three questions that were asked of me, and I'm going to ask those who are in the room with me to be willing to unmute themselves because we're here till 11 o'clock. And I'm not doing that. The physical thing that I have going on involves sitting. Um, my right thigh from the top going down sometimes down to my ankle is numb. When it feels like it's coming out of numbness, then it's tingly and prickly. You know, when you first, like when your leg falls asleep, when something falls asleep and you wake up and have that feeling and you try to, touch it and you're like, "Ugh." Well, that's what I'm feeling continually. Got an injection and and that's not what it is. Anyway, so I'm not supposed to be sitting too much. So which is why I didn't do too much in terms of um preparation today. So I'm relying on you all today to help me. Sharon, I hope you're back there. I hope you can hear me. Gloria, I hope you can hear me. Lindy, hope you can hear me. Jack, I see you. I'm glad you're there. I know you can hear me. Dub, I hope you can hear me. Lynn, I hope you can hear me. Because I'm going to be asking you to I intend to put up the slide and let you give me what I would like to do as the bullet points for these questions. Yeah, Jack.
I just wanted to ask you, Zulma, where does Ernest Holmes and A Course in Miracles differ? Where does the path go in a different direction where we're not parallel?
Um, so that's a good question. That's a good question. Some would say, some would say that um, Ernest Holmes or these mental sciences say that what we see is real. However, and when we go into the definitions right out of the book, Ernest Holmes makes it quite clear that that we made what we see. That reality is what is permanent, with indestructible. So he makes that perfectly clear. There is a in Science of Mind, particularly Ernest Holmes's work, particularly is focused on basically living your best life, but first recognizing what we are, and that because of that we can live our best life. It talks about manifesting, but like the Course, it reminds us that it's already here. We have everything because we are everything. The Science of Mind, a lot of Science of Mind is focusing on recognizing that we are capable of bringing into our awareness whatever we want, um, you know, the things that we desire because they're already here. So that's where our faith comes in. So the focus, the way I see it, because I started with the Course and then I moved into, not onto, because the Course is still my first Bible, if you will. For me, the way I explain my short answer is that the Course helped me to recognize my oneness with everyone, the person to person, my brothers, my sisters, that. And what religious science did for me, Science of Mind, religious science did for me, is help me to recognize my oneness with all that is. Now, the Course, according to the Course, or according to the way I hear people talk about the Course, and I have to say this is important, is that yeah, but all that stuff isn't real. Granted, anything that we see, hear, smell, taste, and touch is temporary. And that's the difference between it being real and not. Because if I slap you in the face, as I was the example I use, if I slap you, certainly you're not going to tell me that the pain that you're feeling isn't real. At least not in the moment. In that moment, it's as real enough, as Ernest Holmes would say. It's real enough, but it's temporary. The pain of the slap is going to go away. Um, so for me, but the Course also says that God is in everything, not just everyone. It doesn't just talk about everyone. It says everything. So the way I hear some people talk about it versus the way I understand it from the Course, It's different. I see your hand is it still up, or is it up again, or did you just not
Well,
put it down yet?
I just wanted to comment on what you're saying so far. Because the Course is a metaphysical treatise, a metaphysical masterpiece, everything that is temporary is not real by the metaphysical definition.
Yes.
So I'm thinking that maybe science of mind is not a metaphysical. I don't know much about science of mind, but because anything that's temporary is not real, that's part of the definition in the metaphysics of A Course in Miracles. The body is not real because it changes. The only things that are real in the Course, and nothing real can be threatened, is everything that is permanent, eternity.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm agreeing with you on that. I'm totally agreeing with you. So here from the Science of Mind textbook, I'll read to you the definition of reality according to in the glossary of the Science of Mind textbook. Reality, the truth about anything. Reality actually means that which is indestructible, incapable of decay. See, so far with perfect agreement. Reality is unchanging and everlasting. See, we still agree. Now, and here's how the Course and again Science of Mind meet. The self we see is what man has thought about himself, the form he has molded by his thought. There it is. And as I just read in the from the Mind Your Mind section, all thought produces form at some level. So it's saying the same thing. It really is. The real self, the capital R, capital S, the real self is capital P, perfection, for God could not know anything unlike himself. Our sonship is reality, capital R, capital S for sonship. Christ abiding in us. The kingdom of God within is reality. Reality, as concerning man, is that God in man, as man, is man. That's the definition of reality in the glossary from in the Science of Mind textbook by Ernest Holmes. So it's saying the same thing. It's just saying it slightly differently, but it's saying the same thing. But we have to, but remembering too that all thought produces form at some level, and that our ability to think, our ability to anything, comes from God. Therefore, what Science of Mind says is that what we see is spirit in form, because the Course and how what the Course says is that everything begins as an idea. Everything begins as an idea. Everything begins an idea. So essentially, it's ideas in form. Granted, the form part, what we see, is indeed temporary. It's indeed temporary. That's why we need miracles. That's why we need forgiveness. That's why we need any of this. It's temporary because we made this body and all the things that we see that goes with it. But the ability to do that still had to come from creation, the creator. It had to, because there is no other place. There is no God and, as Joel Goldsmith reminds us, there is no God and. So where the difference is that the mental sciences say in the metaphysical, and these are metaphysical sciences, because it's interesting that I'm glad to hear you say it, that most people, I don't hear most people refer to the Course as metaphysical, but it is. It's beyond the physical. That's all metaphysical means, beyond the physical. So, and yes, they're all referred to as metaphysical sciences. And the science, what makes it science, is that we can prove that God is. We've been able to prove by whatever name you call it energy, call it spirit, call it life, call it whatever. The proof is that it is. So, and that's what science does. Science is in the business of proving that it's so, and it goes together that way. Go ahead, Jack.
Well, I think I don't know this, but I think maybe the difference is the historical origin of A Course. When mankind forgot to laugh, and mankind pulled away from God and said, "I'm going to do this on my own." and then the ego was born and guilt was born, and we came into a body and we created separation and made up all these things. Once again, thought creating form, and making up the whole world, which God does not really see. He only directs us from mind to mind. Our thoughts, our perceptions, our connection with God, not the world of illusion. And maybe where science of mind and course differ is the illusion versus the truth, or the origin of the metaphysics of the creation of mankind.
No, science of mind agrees wholeheartedly. Science of mind and the infinite way, and these other metaphysical teachings all agree wholeheartedly that what we see here, in fact, I'm going to read something like that, that what we see here, smell, taste, and touch is temporary. Clearly, it's temporary. It actually is saying exactly that.
Well, I didn't disagree with that. What I was saying was, I see them as parallel, and I think you made that very clear in what you're saying. What I said was the origin of the breaking away from God for mankind to create an independent self and say, I don't need God, I'm going to do this on my own, and forgetting to laugh and so forth. Yeah, the origin. I'm going to the historical origin of the course's premise, of what the course's premise is.
And okay, and the metaphysics will tell you that without God, let me go back, what's on the screen. We experience it to the degree that we become conscious of it. The highest God and the innermost God is one God. The unity of all life, that the highest God and the innermost God is one God. We believe that God is personal to all who feel this indwelling presence, which is saying the opposite of the sense of separation. So yeah, it's the same thing. It's when we think that we are not, that we are doing it on our own, that's where the misery comes in. It really is saying the same thing. It's just saying it differently, and in different. It's saying the same thing. It really, really is. And as far as that goes, which Lynn mentioned when we first came on, it really is saying the same thing. The unity of all life. The Course says God is in everything and everyone. The highest God and the innermost God is one God. There is no separation. There's only one. And as the Course reminds us, that the lack of separation is really the problem. That's the only thing we need correct. The belief in the lack of separation. The belief in the lack of separation, because there really is no lack of separation. But the belief that there is, the belief that I can do it on my own, that would be like, I can take a breath without air. No, no. The belief that I could, do this on my own is absolutely ridiculous when we, really break it down. It's like I just said, I can't breathe without air. I'm talking about life. Life. There's only one life. This is how Dr. Ernest wrote. There is only one life, and that life is God's life. And that life is perfect, perfect meaning complete, meaning whole. And that life is my life now. And there's only one life. There is only one life. And that as the Course would say, cannot be threatened. What's real cannot be threatened. The stuff that we see out here, we recognize as temporary, recognizing it as temporary. The problem is that we want to think that this is real. A week from now, that I'll be reflecting on this conversation between you and me, and trying to make that real, when in fact it's only this moment. It's gone. This moment, and it's gone. New holy instant. It's gone. It's the belief that I can keep it going, that I can keep that past going, that I can create a future in the right now. That's where the problem is. And all the teachings say this in that regard. They say the same thing. Anything else, Jack? Are you still there?
No, I wasn't disagreeing with anything you said about how they're parallel. I was just trying to get to the source of how A Course in Miracles started. Versus, it sounds like Science of Mind is just talking about the present, what is. I'm talking about the history of mankind breaking away from God and wanting to establish independence, and creating through thought the form of the world we see, which is an
Yes.
illusion. I don't see science of mind talking about the illusion or the dream of the world.
Not in those words, but it does say, let me see if I can find it. Let's see if I can find it. Let's see if I can find it where it says turn away from the condition. I have to find it. Turn away from the condition. I believe that's in the chapter on causes and conditions. All right. Let me turn to, I could put it on the screen. I would have to go into, and I can, let me see. I'll go into the, into the,
Say,
it's okay.
Zulma,
It's
I
okay.
have to leave
Yes.
for a few minutes. I may be back before you're done, but
Okay.
I do have to leave right now. So thank you for being here. And
Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you again.
before 11 o'clock, I'll try to come back.
All
Okay.
right. I'm gonna go to that section for the sake of, it'll be on the, so it can be on the video. It's somewhere in the 180s, turn away from the condition, turn entirely. That's what it said. Turn entirely. I'm going to drop screen so that I can pull this up. Turn entirely. Here it is. Okay. So I'm going to share screen again. And this time from the Kindle. All right. So in the Science of Mind textbook, in chapter 13, causes and conditions, Dr. Ernest writes, quoting from the Bible, behold thou my face forevermore. Look unto me and be ye saved, all the ends of the earth. That is, look up and not down. The reason, hold it, my, somehow or another, my television just came on. Oh, all right, stop that. The reason a man has difficulty in throwing off some weakness of character while believing in spirit implicitly and having faith that he is going to overcome his limitation is because he has not induced the necessary images in mind. If he had, he would have overcome his trouble. Thinking of his weakness keeps the image of it before him. We cannot be too insistent on this all-important point in treating, that is affirming prayer and praying. We must turn entirely away from the condition. Disease and limitation are neither person, place, nor thing. Turn entirely from the condition or limited situation to its opposite, to the realization of health, happiness, and harmony. Spiritual treatment, that is prayer, affirmative prayer, starts with perfect God, perfect man, and perfect being, which statement consciously removes any belief which denies such manifestation. And what that's saying is that we don't look at the things that are seen as being real. They are not. They are not, clearly are not, cannot be. They're not. I read that in the definition of reality to begin with. I read that. That's the first thing I read. In fact, I'm reading from the section, looking at the section called The Perfect Universe. It says the truth is indivisible and whole. God is complete and perfect. A perfect cause must produce a perfect effect. Now, cause has a capital C. A perfect cause must produce a perfect effect, which is interesting. Disregarding all evidence to the contrary, the student of truth with a capital T will maintain that he lives in a perfect universe and among people potentially perfect. He will regulate his thinking to meet this necessity and will refuse to believe in its opposite, which is the Course's way of telling us that when I'm looking at error in you, I'm really seeing it in myself, that the way to see you is in your perfection, to see spirit and not a body, to look beyond the body. And the question isn't, as the Course says, whether or not I want to see you with or without a body, it's whether or not I want to recognize that you are sinless, that I am sinless, that we are sinless, that anything is forgivable, anything can be let go. We don't have to hold on to any of it. It says, at first he may be influenced by conditions and he may appear to be weak, but as time goes on, he will prove to himself that his position is a correct one. For that which appears imperfect will begin to slip from his experience. To daily meditate on the perfect life, capital P perfect, capital L life, to daily meditate on the perfect life. Maybe I should put this on the screen. I'm reading and it's not in front of you. So it shows up on the screen. Share. And I was reading from the section that started with the perfect universe, still in chapter 13. To daily meditate, I'm right here, to daily meditate on the perfect life and to daily embody the great ideal. Notice these are where the capitals are, capital G, capital I, is a royal road to freedom, to that peace which passeth understanding and is happiness to the soul of man. Let us learn to see as God must with a perfect vision. Is that not what the Course teaches us? God is in everything I see because God is in our mind. God is in my mind to see with the eyes of God, to see with vision and not with physical sight, to see with spiritual vision and not with spiritual sight. That's what it's saying, same thing. Let us learn to see as God must with a perfect vision. Let us seek the good and the true and believe in them with our whole heart, even though every man we meet is filled with suffering and limitation appears to be, limitation appears on all sides. We cannot afford to believe in imperfection for a single second. To do so is to doubt God. To see life as imperfect, to see things as, and granted, we're not saying that, things don't come up. I'm talking about this pain in my, in my hip, my thigh, I'm talking about this thing here. That, that I ought not be sitting here talking about this. I may need to go off camera so I can lay down while I talk. But that doesn't, but this is not, but this is temporary. It wasn't here a week ago. And I'm trusting that it won't be here a week from now. But even if it is, this is my body, the whole body's thing is temporary. I'm not focusing on it. If anything, I'm taught in all things to give thanks. That all things are lessons God would have me learn. So I think I have to look up some things and find out what's going on. What am I possibly not doing for this to be happening the way it's happening? Whatever. Neither here nor there. The point is that I know that my body is not what I am. And because I know that, I have to know continually that your body is not what you are. And that's really the key, to recognize the oneness that we are, that I am joined with you in spirit, that we are the same source, the same source, the same source. The cause is the same. And that is eternal. That's what's eternal. It continues here. Let us daily say to ourselves, to doubt God. Wait a minute. To believe in imperfection for a single second is to doubt God. It is to believe in a power apart from God, to believe in another creator, which is impossible. There is no such thing as God. And let us say to ourselves daily, perfect God within me, perfect life within me, which is God, come forth into expression through me as that which I am. Lead me ever into the paths of perfection and cause me to see only the capital G good. As Emma Curtis Hopkins writes, my good is my God. My God is my good. By this practice, the soul There's that word. By this practice, by this practice, by this practice, the soul will become illumined and will acquaint itself with God and be at peace. Acquaint myself with God, be in the habit of engaging with God. This really is the answer to all the three questions, although they're different in form, but it's the answer to the same. It's the answer to the same. Stop focusing on what you see, what you hear, what you smell, what you taste, what you touch. Stop focusing on that and go in and recognize your God self, recognize your eternal self, recognize the self that is indestructible. And then just live your best life, recognize it in yourself. And then when you do as you do, you recognize it in others, and you stop complaining, and you stop, looking at things as being wrong and different and separate and apart. That's what's causing the grief. Your belief in that stuff, your belief that bodies are permanent, your belief that bodies are supposed to be perfect. A body is just that it's a communication device. And in the same way that no one says it rightly each and every time. I don't care how extensive your vocabulary. I don't care, all the reading that you've done, all the studying that you've done. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's temporary. And to believe anything else or try to act as if it's not is going to be a problem every time. So Lindy wrote character of I'm reading out of the chat in the chat now. Character manifests the form of the image of man is what Lindy wrote, and then she has a question: is the character of the image formed by man or woman, or is the character of the image? We're talking about the physical image. Well, we've already been taught that we made this. We made this. We formed this. Ernest Holmes just said it. The Course says it. We did this. We did this. This whole body thing, this whole physical, this whole temporary thing. The spiritual ego, the Christ mind. Yes, Glorian wrote the spiritual I, the Christ mind. I'm not sure. Okay, so Lindy wrote, this is way back at 10, a little while ago. Do you appear to be truth? What my honest thought is it or the one appear to be perfect? What ego does is cause the one to see only physical. Yeah, that's true. And remembering that the ego itself isn't even real. It's made up. So we're making stuff up to make stuff up. We use what we made up to make stuff up. As I was telling my baby girl last night, we make up a story and then we jump into the story as if it's the truth. We make up these stories. We have these perceptions of people. We decide that they're not this or they are that. Yesterday they were this, so we figure today they must be that too. Not necessarily. And do I have to approach it the same way today as I did yesterday? No, I don't have to. I need to see it differently for my peace of mind. And as I pull my light out from under that bushel, as I pull my light out, as I let my light shine, my light radiates. And I actually draw to me the very same deliciousness, this wonderful, beautiful energy that I'm putting out. But I have to first know, not wonder, not think, not just believe. I have to know that my perfection is, and therefore the perfection of that individual is, regardless of the expression. It's not supposed to express the same way because we are, as Ernest Holmes writes, individualized expression of God. But it's all God. I don't care. It's all God. Lynn quotes from the Course: let us start our process of reawakening with just a simple concept. Thought increases by being given away. Let me find that in the Course. Thank you, Lynn. I can pull that up on the screen. Oops. Thought increases. Thought increases. I want to make sure I hit the direction. Okay. And that's coming out of chapter 5. Let me bring this screen down. Put that screen up. It's the other screen. All right. And the course teaches, let us start our process of reawakening with just a few simple concepts. Thoughts increase by being given away. The more who believe in them, the stronger they become. Everything, everything, everything is an idea. Everything. How then can giving and losing be associated? We have to remember, or at least look at, when the Course uses the word everything. Somehow we want to say, oh yeah, but that's not real. And it's not. In form, it's not. But everything is an idea. Just like we are an idea in the mind of God. So let's be clear. It's all extension, extension, extension. Even as bodies stand in a circle and hold hands and share and share loving thoughts, it's extension. Granted, we're doing it in form, but where's that coming from? From the idea. Where does the idea come from? We're back to that. Perfect God within me, perfect life within me, which is God in expression through me as that which I am. That's what I just read from Ernest Holmes. Everything, the Course going back to that, is an idea. How then can giving and losing be associated? I want to go back to the Zoom. I want to go back to the chat to see how far Lynn went with that quote. This is the invitation to the Holy Spirit. I, the voice of the Course, have said already that I can reach up and bring the Holy Spirit down to you, but I can bring him to you only at your invitation. The Holy Spirit is in your right mind, as he was in mine. The Bible says, it's written in the Bible, may the mind be in you that was also in Christ Jesus, and uses this as a blessing. It is a blessing of miracle-mindedness. It asks that you may think as I thought, joining with me in Christ thinking. Thank you for that, Lynn. Thank you for that. Everything is an idea. Everything. Okay, Glorian, got your message. Thank you. And yes, it's all in order. That it's the first law of the universe is order. It's all in divine order. All of it is in divine order. That's why the workbook lesson says that all things, not some things, all things are lessons God would have me learn. And notice, it's not saying everyone. It's not saying the one is the lesson that God would have me learn. It's saying that all things, back to that word things. I'm gonna have to look at that a little closer, and that's going to bring up some interesting conversation, I'm sure. At this point, since we have been studying other works, particularly Joel Goldsmith's work, and more about Dr. Ernest, but particularly Joel Goldsmith, because we're reading that more and more often. I believe that there are those here who have that see what we call the world in a different way. But even in the manual for teachers, the advanced teachers, it tells us, we're in this world. We have faith in the world because we know that not the things of the world themselves, because we know that they're temporary. We know that ultimately God is all there is. We know that God is all there is. And I know that this is temporary, and my body is temporary. Me saying this communication device that's saying this is temporary. And when it has come and gone, when it has gone, I'm trusting, I believe, that I will still know. I'll still be, because my body is not what I am. I will still be. I've had enough experiences to know that that's true. I will still be. I said, believe. I'm going to go with, I know. I will still be. My body is not where I began, and my body is not where I end. I never began. I'll never end. I have always been, which is why it's written in the Bible that Jesus said before Abraham was, I am. I am. I am that. I am. Perfection. I am perfection. Whether I see it, recognize it, whether my leg hurts, whether the words come out crooked, whether I make great PowerPoint slides or not, what I am, the truth of what I am has always been, can only be perfection, because it is what God is. Simple as that. Everything is an idea. And Glorian writes, thank you very much. To remember the truth of what we are. Recognize it. Recognize means that I knew before and I know again. To recognize it, and then to acknowledge it. Acknowledge it in all my ways. In all my ways, acknowledge it, and it will direct my paths. In all my ways, acknowledge God, and God will direct my paths. God is where I am. I am where God is. I need to just get still. Like I'm talking about Zulma. Some people do it with a running high. Some people do it while they're washing dishes. I get to be still and know. To be still and know that I am what God is. I am that. To be still and know. Those were the last words my mother said to me. Stay still. Quédate tranquila, nena. Stay still, girl. To be still. Remember, recognize, and then acknowledge. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Okay. I'm going to drop screen and let's see. Oh, there was more stuff in the chat. Okay. No, that was it. Thank you. Thank you for that, Lynn. And in the Science of Mind textbook, what I actually wanted to read was or was it? It was in the book How to Change Your Life by Dr. Ernest Holmes, the section titled You Are in Charge. Oh, by the way, I need to give you what the 3 questions were so that you can give it some thought, and I would like some whether you come in on the mic or however you choose to do this. The 3 questions are, okay, what do you see on the screen? I don't know what you see on the screen.
You're in charge.
Oh, that's what you see. Okay, that's not what I want you to see. All right. What I want. Okay, so let me just tell you the 3 questions, because before this turns into, before I go crazy with this. I don't want to go crazy with this. I don't want to go crazy with this. The 3 questions are, how can I have faith in the unknown? Or how do I develop faith in the unknown? The second question is, how do I come out of the dark? And the third question is, I know what I want to change, but how do I change? Why don't you give that some thought? Give that some thought. I want some, I'm gonna do bullet points on whatever you come up with here. To add to this so that when I share it, they can watch this and
Can you say them again, Zulma? Because I wasn't
actually
writing them down.
I'm gonna put it on the screen. I'm gonna see how I share this. All right. Share that not that one, not that one. The three questions are, and these came from two different people. Well, two different people, three questions. How can I have faith in the unknown? And how do I develop faith in the unknown? And how do I come out of the dark? And I know what I want to change, but how do I change? Now, I want to address. I'm gonna do the Ernest Home piece first. You're in charge, and go from there. Let's see if I can put that on the screen. I'm confused. All right. What do you see on the screen? Do you still see the questions?
Yes.
Yes.
That's not what I want you to see. So for some reason, all right, we're going to go with Dr. Ernest here and the section titled You're in Charge from his book, How to Change Your Life, an inspiring life-changing classic from the Ernest Holmes Library. You're in charge. The old Greek advice, know thyself, is profoundly significant to us all. In fact, we must know ourselves more fully if we are to lead the successful, happy, and useful lives we desire. We see that knowing ourselves better involves understanding our spiritual nature and also understanding the interrelationship of our mind, body, and emotions so we can control them wisely and direct them for our own welfare. Who are you? All is spirit. I'll repeat that. All is spirit. Spirit is capital M, mind. Mind is one. There is no separation between God and you except to the degree you think you are separated. And that is what the Course teaches us, that a sense of separation is the only lack that we need correct. There is no separation in truth. All is spirit. I'll say all is life. All of it. I can't breathe without air. Oh, I can close the door and keep the air from outside from being and go in the bathroom and close the door and make sure the skylight is pulled down. But when I take a breath, there's still air there for me to breathe. There's still air. I may have separated myself from the outside air, but there's air right here. All is spirit. Spirit is mind. Mind is one. There is no separation between God and you, except to the degree you think you are separated. If you believe you are locked in a room and believe it so firmly that you do not even try the doors and windows, the results are exactly the same as though you were locked in. Though the truth may be that there is no lock and you are free to go as you please. Your belief is all that lies between you and freedom. Likewise, you need to banish forever any belief that there is a barrier between God and you. You are in God mind. God, capital, of course, God, capital G, mind, capital M, God dash mind. You are of God mind. You are God mind, made manifest in human form. Welcome, Regis. So you want to be sure that your thinking is not in conflict with itself, and that you have clear, concise thoughts about your true nature. The science of mind, as other mental sciences, teach you to understand your true nature so that you can live happily, successfully, and with good health, and gradually grow in your expression of God within you. To grow in our expression of God is to be in the habit of engaging with God, engaging with God, engaging with God. What the, the declarations say? The highest God and the innermost God is one God. We believe that heaven is within us and that we experience it to the degree that we become conscious of it. The unity of all life. We believe in the unity of all life. We believe that God is personal to all who feel this indwelling presence. Back to Ernest Holmes in the book. He says, so we'll gradually grow in your expression of God within you. Whatever will tend toward these results should claim your attention. We're talking about growing in your expression of God within you. Whatever will tend toward these results should claim your attention. This, in fact, is the kind of practical spiritual thinking you want to learn how to do. And it's practical because you practice and you practice and you practice. The Course says, we're not talking about the theoretical. That's fine. We need the theoretical, but we need the practical, because if you don't practice it, it's just something to read. Good book. Yeah, I read the Course. I've heard people say, oh yeah, I read that. Thus, you are ready for the next step, consciously directing your thought so right and good results are constantly being brought forth in your life. Consciously directing your thought so right and good results are constantly being brought forth in your life. The importance of habits. Let us start with knowing yourself. There it is again. First thing, the kingdom of heaven is within, and whoever knows himself shall find it. The course, regardless, the curriculum, regardless of, the goal is know thyself. Let us start with knowing yourself and see if we can find a new way of thinking which will create better results in your life than the old ways. We have found that infinite mind with a capital M as law, we're talking about the law of cause and effect, creates and sustains all things, and so is of prime importance to us. The law also acts on the law also acts on those pertinent thought patterns which have become habits. And that's so key, because I keep talking about saying what you want, not what you don't want. Or you don't talk about the way it used to be in the negative. Yeah, because I remember, as my cousin would say, coming to the color purple, all my life well, today's a new day, and today is the day to start life anew. Today is the day to start life anew. Am I going to revert to old habits? Yes, but am I going to keep working on it? If I'm being conscious of it, then I'm going to auto-correct like this Microsoft Word does. I'm going to auto-correct. As I hear myself say it, I'm going to stop right there. I'm not going to put a yeah, but on it. I'm not going to say, yeah, I know. I'm going to go on and I'm going to auto-correct right on the spot. Oh, wait, I meant to say, right there, auto-correct. Yeah, these people, but I'm tired of people, the way people used to treat me. Don't even think about the way people used to treat you. Begin to let those thoughts go. holding on to what was will keep you in what was. You cannot be in the isness of it if you're hanging on to the wasness of it. So we have found that infinite mind as law creates and sustains all things, and so is of prime importance to us. The law also acts on those persistent thought patterns which have become habits. Every day, therefore, we should add to those habits which are desirable, now that we know how to do it and how they work. That's the how. You can add to your supply of good habits by cultivating cheerfulness. It is one of the most helpful traits anyone can have. Thankfulness is another. We're taught in all things give thanks. In all things give thanks, because all things are lessons that God, life, spirit would have me learn. When we think of how much we have for which to be thankful, it would seem that every moment should be filled with gratitude. A happy expectancy of good is also something to which more attention should be given until it becomes a fixed habit. A happy expectancy of good. A happy expectancy of good. And that doesn't mean that things aren't going to come up. Again, earlier on, I read about turning away from conditions, but the conditions are all temporary. They are always temporary. That thing that's happening right in front of you, that's getting on your nerves, that person who seems to, be different from the way you think they should be. There you go, shoulding. That person, that's temporary. And the course teaches that only what you don't bring is what's lacking. Only what you don't bring. So if that person is acting the same way they did yesterday, that doesn't mean that you have to act the same way that you did yesterday about that situation. Bring a new you, bring the light, bring some shine, bring some smiles, bring a hello, how are you? Bring a good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Bring something different to change the shift, to help that energy shift. You can do this. You can do this. So we're talking about bringing new habits. A happy expectancy of good is something for which more attention should be given until it is a fixed habit. You can think of many others, but unless you are really developing such habits, don't tell me you know. Yeah, I know too. But Ernest Holmes says to desert the truth in the hour of need is to prove that you really don't know the truth. So saying I know, yeah, I know, but I'm not practicing it, no, nothing. I know nothing. The course talks about, if I'm not mistaken, something about achievement, that, recognition is not achievement. Recognizing it, yeah, all right, I recognize it. Now what? I have to demonstrate it. I have to demonstrate it, as Glorian wrote, to acknowledge it. I have to demonstrate this thing. You can think of many, unless you are really developing such habits, you are not taking advantage of that exceedingly valuable aspect of the law of mind, cause and effect. I am cause. You are cause. Small c, not first cause. But you are cause. You are the cause of what's going on in your life. You could try to blame everything out there if you want to and not take responsibility. But the truth is that you're responsible for what's going on out there. If you're having difficulty with all those people, guess what? It's not all those people. It's just not. You got to look at the common denominator. There's something going on in me that's holding back, that's putting up a wall, that's preventing myself from letting my true self show, from letting the love in me show, from allowing myself to be invulnerable through being vulnerable, which is then that energy is moving forth out there to them as well. Unless, where am I? You're not taking advantage of that exceedingly valuable aspect of the law of mind, which is always ready and willing to accept whatever you insist upon. Hear me? Whatever you insist upon. If I've already decided that that person is whatever, guess what? You're going to keep getting more of that. you will keep getting more of that, sustaining it as a habit, which then will function without you having to think about it consciously. In other words, be willing to see things differently and create a new habit out of that. What do you want? What do you really, really want? And then answer that question. And then what do you really, really want? And if you're telling me that you want for somebody else to change, you're in trouble, because now you're trying to control external circumstances, external things. And there's nothing out there for you to control. The only thing that you can learn to gain more control of is you, your thoughts, your feelings, your desires, your beliefs, what you think you know. That's really what we're talking about here. I'm going to bring this screen down, and I'm going to go back to the questions. With hope. I'm trusting that you all have given the questions a little bit of thought and are going to assist me in answering the questions. Regis, I don't know if you were here when I first put the questions up. So, or if you were listening, I don't know what, So I'm going to share my screen. I have these 3 questions, and these are questions asked of me by real people who are asking for real answers. And I'm asking you all in these last 18 minutes to give me your view, your response, your thought about these questions. I'm going with the first one. How can I have faith in the unknown, and how can I develop faith in the unknown? And of course, my first thought is, uh, it's unknown. So how can you have faith in it? It's like, being afraid of it kind of goes with the second question about coming out of the dark. But from the course teaches the questioning mind perceives itself in time and therefore looks for future answers. The closed mind believes the future and the present will be the same. And that's the only thing that came to me for that, from that. I am going to put that quote from the course away. Yeah, Regis, go ahead. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Gloria's hand was up first. I just saw. No, it was Regis first. Go ahead, Regis. Go ahead.
You're muted. Whoever's going needs to unmute themselves.
Somebody.
I'll go. Good morning, everybody.
Hey.
I love this morning, Zulma, as I do always, every time I'm here. Such wonderful sharing. The questions that you had up, what was coming to me, that's really the remedy for all of it, is identifying with identity, which is trust. And trust is knowing who we are in truth. And all the other characteristics of God's teachers rest upon that sense of knowing what we truly are. And that's why before, when it came up about first we remember who we are, then we're recognizing it everywhere, and then we're acknowledging it through the experience of it and allowing it to become the embodiment of who I am. And when the question is, how can I have faith in the unknown? Develop faith. We practice. We practice all the time. We do these workbook lessons, the first 50, undoing the error, uncovering that upside down thinking. And the second half of the workbook is designed to have us accept who we truly are in truth. And the other question was, come out of the dark. I know what I want to change, but how do I change it? We change it by resting in God and relying on Spirit totally. Where should I go? What should I do? What should I say, and to whom? Allowing through willingness this flow of the Christ to direct and guide our lives. And that is trusting that it's all perfect. And moving into that space, like today's lessons, all things are lessons God would have me learn. And forgive, and you'll see it differently. It's all saying that as we relinquish our judgment that we place upon the false images, the imagined thought that we see outside us, it dissolves. because it's really not there. In true forgiveness, we're relinquishing judgment and stopping our projections and the interference that we place upon the world, upon the grace of God. And as you said before, God is. No and. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I do want to say that one of the people that asked these questions, one isn't necessarily a student of the course, so um I'm going to ask you again after Regis comes on, Gloria, to kind of give that to me in a language that the that the person who's not necessarily a student can yeah. I'm gonna ask you that question again. Go ahead, Regis.
All right, thanks, Zulma. And you have come through for me again today. Thank you. You always do. You can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Um, so many good ideas today that were perfect and right on time for me. And that happened uh, because of the first question. Uh, because things come up, and I've learned that I don't have to address everything that comes up. And when I don't, then the unknown allows those answers and those things to manifest on their own. We have a habit being in a body from the time we exited our mother's womb of being, as you always hear me say, human doings, human doers. We think we have to do. So, how do I develop faith in the unknown? And I'm gonna answer just like I would answer my wife. And like you just said, everybody doesn't study the course, everybody doesn't study the Bible. Everybody doesn't study Joel Goldsmith. So as I would tell my wife, if you don't stop trying to fix every problem or situation that you think comes up, you'll never develop faith. You have to s- stop your first reaction, which is to do something. We've been habitually trained that when something comes up, we have to do. If there's a misunderstanding, oh, I got to call Zuma and talk about it. No, I don't. No, I do not. And if I step back and if I pause for the cause, the next thing I know, Zuma will be calling me and she'll have all the answers and all of the response to what I thought was a conflict between her and I. But if I continue the habit, if I have a problem on my job, and the first thing I start thinking is, how can I fix it? I need to quit. I need to get out my resume. I need to look for a new job. This job is not right. Blah 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 blah. So I tell my wife to practice in the little things. You know, if you want a donut, just say I want a donut and sit down and see if I walk through the door with a donut. you know, I mean, really, it's really practice, as Gloria said, but it's not so much of religious quotes, but it's and it's like Gloria said, faith, trust. But we have a habit of making stuff happen ourselves. Oh, I got to take care of myself. If I don't do it, nobody will do it. All of these worldly concepts and ideas that we have been raised on. You got to work hard. If you're working, you got to work hard. If you're studying, you got to study hard. All of these messages have been given to us to keep us on the hamster wheel of doing, 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 doing. And we go harder, we go harder. We have a problem, a situation, then we lean into it harder. What you resist persists. So it's opposite world. And to be able to step back in with little things. You start with you don't try to go and do these huge, humongous feats, you know. But as you practice and you develop experience, that the unknown is real. That which I think I don't know, God. Let's just say God. How do I have faith in God? How do I have faith in this stuff, these principles, this truth? All is equal to God. By breaking the habit of doing, by breaking the habit, my first reaction, yeah, if I cut my finger cooking breakfast, I'm gonna go wrap it up. You know, but there are so many, because we want to go extreme. We always jump into these extreme scenarios. So yeah, if you cut your finger, you don't sit there and let yourself bleed out. Okay. but but there's so much in our life that and my wife, she watched, man, and you was reading it after you asked those questions. You went into your reading, and that's what the person was saying. You're allowing these things to manifest. You step back and allow uh uh things to come to you, and you start with little experiences. Oh, you can say God came through for me. The universe came through for me. I don't care what you call it. Source came through for me. But as long as we jump in trying to fix things ourselves, trying to make things happen ourselves, trying to correct situations, trying to correct problems, and as you begin to practice and practice and practice, you will begin to say, "Oh, I'm just going to let go and let God." That's how we get to the place where we start the cliche, let go and let God. How do I come out of the dark? What I would say to my wife is, that's not a good question. That question means nothing. And I wouldn't even try to answer that. What do you mean come out of the dark? I don't even know what that means. And I'm not going to try to make myself know what that means. So I would tell that person to take that question back and put that question in something that's more tangible. Because that's just like I talk about love. We talk about what the world needs now is love. Okay, what does that look like? You're not saying anything. Well, just love everybody. How? What does that mean? That's very general. That's very something that'll just keep you spinning on the hamster wheel forever. And it allows the ego to just come in, and when you jump this hurdle, then it'll raise this hurdle. When you answer that question, then it'll raise that question. That's not a real question. How do I come out of the dark? What do you mean by that? What do you mean by darkness? What I think darkness is and what you think darkness is could be two different things. So I wouldn't even answer that question. So I would say, as in Will Smith and I, Robot, if anybody remember that movie, Will would ask the robot a question, and the robot wouldn't answer. He would say, "That's not the right question." And he will ask another question, the robot would say, "That's not the right question." And when Will asked the right question, the robot would answer. And so that's just going down the rabbit hole. How do I come out of the darkness? What do you mean by darkness? Is what I would say to that person. Explain to me what you mean by darkness, because I don't
Okay.
know what you're talking about. So we need clarity. And the third question, I think you want us to hold, and you want to go through each question individually. So I'll stop right there.
Okay. I saw Lynn's hand, Lynn, then Gloria.
All right. So, as for the first question, as to how do I have faith in the unknown? How do I develop faith in the unknown? Well, believe it or not, you already have it because you don't know what's going to happen. Nobody knows what's going to happen. We have Regis here. Regis moved here to Pueblo. What did he have? Did somebody offer him $1 million job? Come here to Pueblo. I'm going to give you, a fancy home. Come here to Pueblo and I'm going to set you up in a business. No, he had no idea. He probably still has no idea why he was moved to come here. But that's a faith in the unknown. It's faith in saying that, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm being guided to do this and go in this direction. And what will be, will be. And are you suffering now? Is something going terribly wrong for you right now? Or, and just go still inside of yourself and look at what is happening to me right this very moment. Right in this very moment, what is happening to me? And you'll realize that nothing is happening to you right this very moment. You're just being, and you're perceiving things that appear to be outside of yourself that are causing, whatever you think you see, whatever you think is happening. But the fact is, you're just here, just like we are on a planet that is flying through space at, 1,000 miles an hour, flying around the sun at, millions of miles an hour. I don't know how fast, flying through the galaxy. We have no control over any part of any of it, any part of anything that's happening. So it's always the unknown. And just by getting up in the morning, you're showing faith in the unknown. Just by being birthed into this world is a tremendous show of faith in the unknown. I have no idea what my life is going to be, or what I'm going to become, or where I'm going to go. I have no idea of any of it, but I'm here now. And that's really how you have faith in the unknown. You recognize that the past will show you you're still here. No matter what has happened, you're still here. How can you not have faith in something that has showed itself so clearly? Anyway, that's what I have to say about that question.
Thank you. All right. Gloria.
Yeah, thank you. I love that, Lynn. And that's so true. I want to jump on what Regis said, because that's what was coming to me when you mentioned someone new to spirituality. However, it doesn't matter if it's somebody new to spirituality or all of us. We could use that constant reminder of not trying to fix anything outside of ourselves. And
Well, wait a minute, Gloria. I wasn't saying that she was new to spirituality. Just the wording was in line with the Course in Miracles teaching, and she's not necessarily a Course in Miracles, not the Course in Miracles lingo, the jargon. So go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
right. And we do get people like that, and like Regis said too, our family members and what have you. But I think it's important for all of us to remember that, if we're seeking to fix something, we're seeking outside ourselves. If we want to change something, we're looking outside. And the answer always is to seek within. And for me, I really emphasize the cultivation of the practice of meditation. Be still. Because as we begin to silence those thoughts, a different way of thinking comes to us. The higher mind does come through and changes up what we're thinking. And when the question of how do I change our darkness, that really comes from willingness. And what I would say to someone who said that would be the willingness to look at our thoughts differently. And, have our thoughts just be willing and open to say, I don't know what anything is for, and what I think may not necessarily be right, and make that space for something else to be presented. Thanks.
I like that. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else on anything else? Speak now, forever hold your everything.
I'm just going to say, I got a message from Karen. She's not going to be here today. So if you want to keep going, absolutely we can.
Anyone want to keep going?
Yeah, I mean, Gloria she was doing stuff too, but I just love you, Zulma. You've been so wonderful. I just cannot believe how wonderful. Well, I can't believe, because you're always a great teacher, but I've gotten so much out of your teaching today. Thank you.
Well, Sharon, since I have you listening, I have a question. I have a
What?
question for you.
Sure.
How can you have faith in the unknown? Or, I've got 3 questions. They're on the screen. Which one? Pick one.
Okay, I can't, let me see, because I'm on.
The first
Okay.
question is, how can I
Well, I
have
already
faith in the
have faith in the unknown. I thought Lynn's answer was fabulous, because first of all, I'm not even breathing myself. I'm not seeing myself. I'm not doing anything. The person is nothing. So it's happening from the essence. It's just the essence of God. So of course you have to, because you wouldn't even be here if you didn't have, there's an arrogance in the ego thinking, you breathe on your own. Well, I'm breathing from my head. No, you're not. Everything is coming through us. So having faith in the unknown is what we are, because what is it that we really are? Even if you're a person, I think we sleep so heavily when we believe we're this body mind. But when I got this years ago, why did I think the eyes really don't see? It's a recording of just projections of our mind. The ears really don't hear. It's an audio, just like we have the way consciousness set this up. It's no different than watching your television. It's all just happening. And that's what this all is. It's just happening, not to be taken seriously. Did I answer okay?
Hey, I asked whatever comes out of you, however you feel
Yeah.
about this. Yes,
Well,
indeed.
how I
Thank you.
feel is that I've never had a say in anything, and that the unknown is, a lot of people feel like the unknown, like the ego is what we know. But the ego is nothing. The ego is just a bunch of ideas and from the past. So when we just go inward and realize they're not, it's an inward journey, it's not out there. So when we go inward and we realize that the change happens, and when we change our thoughts, usually the manifestation will change, depending on what the script is. And what we're used to habitually is asking the ego, and that's the problem. So that's all. Thanks. I just loved what you shared today so much, because it's just so important. And what Glorian said also, like, when we are reminded, this is why I like spending time on here, because I can roll back because I can forget. And I feel that, especially during these times, you really want to have your armor will be, well, the armor of the ego is the armor, the ego put it there. But who we really are, we have all the power of the universe, really. Now, does that mean our life is going to work out as a person? It has nothing to do with it. Nothing. It can happen. Miracles happen that way, but it doesn't matter. I remember when Ken Wapnick got cancer, everybody was saying, how could he get cancer? He was so advanced. That was just in the script, like Ramana Maharshi. It's a script. So that's all. I know that I got that right for me, and that's all that matters. So thank you.
Thank you. And you know what? That's a good point. We don't know what's going to happen in the body. We think we do. I mean, we made the body, and and if it's not real, if it's a made up thing, it's because it's temporary. Everything that happens to it, quote quote, to it, is temporary as well. Cancer, splinter, numbness in my leg, whatever, needing to wear, have to put glasses on to make that's all the physical. That's not what's real. That's not the eternal and the permanent. The only thing that we know that's eternal is spirit, and that's not something we can see. Regis, your hand is up. Go ahead.
All right, thanks. Really great questions. And go back to the last question that we were on. I know what I want to change, but how do I change it? And so when
So
we change
basically, she's asking, how,
she's
how,
asking how.
how.
And again, it goes back to my answer to the first question. What we habitually go to is doing. Do nothing, but intend, set your intention, say what you want. See, what we do, where we get stuck is I can't imagine the change until I can see how I can change it. And, a lot of times I'm talking to my wife and I would say, what do you want? I would say, I used this in a group yesterday. She's learning now. When we first met and we first got together, uh, we would be out shopping and there would be an item wherever we at, and I would say, "Do you like that?" And she won't answer me. She reaching for the price tag. She trying to turn the item around and see how much it costs. No, I asked you, do you like it? I didn't even say I would buy it for you. I just asked you, do you like it? So we can't set our intention because we're too quick in our head to try to figure out, well, if I want that to happen, how it's going to happen. There was a lady a few years ago. She's an RN, and she was working in a toxic hospital. And there was one hospital in the city that was just elite. It was small, maybe 2 or 3 floors, where all the rich people went. And I said, well, why don't you go and get a job at that hospital? And the first thing she said, well, they not even hiring. They don't even have a job posted. I said, so just go and see if you can put in an application. Well, she put in an application and she got the job. They called her and offered the perfect job with the perfect hours and happily ever after. So uh, I know what I want to change, but how do I change it? Well, just desire to change it. Don't worry. How is not your business. See, that's another bad question. How is not your business? What you want is your business. So what do you want? I want to stop smoking. Well, I don't see how I'm gonna stop. Well, you don't have to see it, but do you want to stop smoking? And you get up and after you set your intention, go smoke a cigarette. You may crave a cigarette and smoke one. How you gonna stop is not your business. That's not your business. How is not our business? Not a good question. And that question is going to keep that person on the hook because soon as they want a new car, well, how am I gonna pay for it? My engine just blew in my car. I need a new car. Well, I can't manifest the car because I'm too busy in the mind process of how I'm gonna do it with my income. Somebody gave me a car when my car broke, my engine blew, and even my spiritual friends would say, well, Regis, how you gonna get to work? How you gonna get to church? These are my spiritual friends, my mighty companions, my close confidants. Well, I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I don't know. But I get where I'm going, or I get a car, or it'll happen. And of course they looked at me like I was crazy, but I got a phone call. Hey, Regis. They was in another city, but a city that you could drive to in about an hour. We were just sitting down here and we knew your car had went out on you, and we got an extra car in the backyard. If you can get down here and get it, you can have it. I got on the phone, called the friends. Can you drive me to the next city? Yeah, I'll drive you down there, Regis. Went down there and picked up the car. I wrecked my car on the way to work one morning. Told it, called my boss, told him I had wrecked my car. He said, well, what do you want to do? I said, well, I'm okay. You can come pick me up and I'll go on to work. I'm like, why go home and just worry about the wreck? So I just went to work. Before lunch, a coworker that heard about I had a wreck on the way to work came over to my cubicle and said, hey, I just bought a new truck this weekend and my nothing's wrong with my previous truck. It's just sitting in my driveway. I can take you home on my lunch break and you can get it and you can just set up a payment arrangement and pay me for it. You know, so how is not my business? Now, prior to that coworker coming to me say that, another coworker came up to me. Well, I guess you're gonna have to get a car note like the rest of us now, Regis. I said, no, I won't get a car note. I don't want a car note. Well, what you gonna do, Regis? I said, I don't know, but I won't have a car note. How is not my business? How do I change? Is not the question. It is what do I want to change? I know what I want to change and have peace with that. That's setting your intention. I know what I want to change. The end. How is not my problem? How is not my business? But just sit in that. Just sit in that intention. This is what I want. And all is well. We moved to Colorado and our monthly lease is lower than what it was in Tennessee. And it's a nicer house. Like Lynn was using me for an example, you know, and of course my wife would get into the how the how. I am making more money now. I'm making double. I'm bringing home double the amount of money that I was bringing home in Nashville. And I got here with no job, just like Lynn said. And the job they offered me, uh, I'm like, it don't check all of my boxes, but I just told my wife, well, I'll try it and see. I don't know. I'm like, I really don't know. I know what they saying, what they said. I'll just see. Well, the job has not inconvenienced my life or caused any stress on my life. I'm still sitting here on Zoom with you all, you know. Uh, so and I'm bringing home double the amount of money that I had set as a goal to bring home. And that money, that extra money that I'm bringing home is paying for the move from Tennessee to Colorado. And see, when we had all those money issues trying to get here, and I'm like, I'm not worried about it. I live in an abundant universe.
Come on.
It'll take care of itself. How is not my business. The business took care of itself. So I've said enough. I'm done. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That's key because what you're saying is, we spend too much time worrying about stuff. And then what we worry about is what manifests because that's what we're focusing on. We're focusing on the problem. We're focusing on the problem and we're not really focusing on knowing that there's a solution already. The answer is already here. It's just that I like what I read earlier about the locked door. You may not know the door. They may not the door. There's a story about Houdini that did that. He was told he was put into a room and told that it was the most difficult locked ever and whatever. I don't know how that went, but it turned out that he tried everything to unlock this door in his own way and he couldn't do it and finally he just became so tired he just leaned up against the door and the door opened. The door was never locked in the first place. Go ahead, Lynn.
Thank you. The door was never locked in the first place. I love that. So as to what Regis was saying, what we're all been saying, that we're not even really setting the intention of I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. We're just following kind of directions, and we're we're all part of the plan. Everything that's happening here is a part of the plan. So, if I'm being guided to go do this or that, I don't say, oh, well, what is that have to do with me? I can just say, this is a part of the atonement. This is a part of the salvation of the world is, whatever it is I'm being asked to do, I'm going to do it. And that was really not what I put my hand up to say, but but that flew right out of my mind. And but I guess just the decision, and we look at the decision for God. It's just the decision that we're given, and it isn't even once I make the decision. The decision is really once I decide to let God decide for me, let the Holy Spirit decide for me. That's the real decision. So, that's really all I have to do is be still. Simply do this. Be be still. Let go of everything you think you know, everything you've ever heard from the world. Let go of all those thoughts and ideas, and just let yourself be and come to your God with holy, empty hands. That's really what all we're being asked to do. And that means giving up my desire or power that I think I have to do something in the world. It's just a dream, and we just keep trying to change it. We're thinking somehow we're responsible for some part of it, and all we're responsible for is to accept it. Acceptance is the only thing that Jesus says we're responsible for, and that's it. That let it be. Anyway, thank you for letting me share.
Thank you. Go ahead, Gloria.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. It was coming to me as Regis was speaking, and I jotted it down. And when he was really exemplifying practicing the presence and being in that mindful awareness of presence instead of the self-imposed limiting ideas, which is worry that we place out there, and coming from a place of I have instead of I need. And that's the trust in who we truly are, and allowing that to flow and go before us and make those crooked places straight. And then what, coming from a place of I have, recognizing that I and the Father are one, all of these seeming things we desire naturally come, supply, companionship, health, all of it. So I just wanted to share that because that was coming to me. I texted Lynn, and I have something here that came to me this morning, which was really funny. It was from it was from a parenthesis in eternity. I was looking for something else, and this meditation popped out. So I thought, gee, I can use it tomorrow. And then it was coming to me, it's way too long. But if you'd like, I could read this meditation now. Actually, it's how you started, Zulma, which is also synchronistic with what you started of I am, the presence I am. If you'd like, I can do this meditation, and everyone can just rest silently. It's from Joel as he received it.
I love that. What page is that on, please?
It's in parenthesis in eternity, page 93.
Page 93. Okay. Go right ahead, please.
Shall I do that? Okay. So we'll just move into our center, that place of quiet where we go within, we still our minds, and we listen in receptivity. And Joel received it thus. I, in the midst of me, feeds me, clothes and houses me. I, in the midst of me, has never been limited. I, in the midst of me, has provided me with everything necessary. For I is not dependent on man whose breath is in his nostrils. I, in the midst of me, need not advertise itself. I, in the midst of me, dwells secretly, sacredly, silently, abiding in God. And together, we two, who are one, walk this earth. I, in the midst of me, is the spiritual Son of God, the Christ, Melchizedek, he who is never born, who will never die, and who is always, and who is and always will be invisible. I am the invisible presence within me. I am the invisible presence which goes before me to make the way clear. I am the invisible presence which walks beside me as protection. I am the invisible presence which follows after me as a rear guard. I am the life of my friends. I am the life of my foes. We are one, yet each individual in expression, one in essence, infinite, but individual in form and modes of expression. I am the author in one, the composer in another. I am the healer in one, the minister in another. I am the painter in one, the poet in another. I am the inspiration unto my life and the inspiration to everyone who seeks inspiration. I can close my eyes at any time of the day or night and turn to this infinite invisible, to the I am within me, and receive new illumination, new light, new health, new strength. Inwardly and silently, say the word I softly, gently, I, meaning yourself, your true identity. Close your eyes to all outer appearances, and inside the inner sanctuary, alone with God, listen to the voice of God as it speaks to you. I say to you, son, cease from depending upon man. I am here in the midst of you, this I that you have declared. Listen to me, look unto me, and the I of your being, and be saved. Listen to me, look unto me, the eye of your being, and be saved. Do not look to effects. Do not look to persons. Do not look to fame, fortune, or position. Look unto me, for I, in the midst of you, am your bread, your staff of life. You need not earn your bread by the sweat of your brow. Work, but enjoy it. Work and love it, but never feel dependent on it for your living. For I am living you. I am your living. I am your being. I have placed myself as the tree of life in the midst of the garden which is yourself. I in the midst of you am mighty. Even your body is the temple of the living God, which I am. Your body, your mind, your soul, these are all dedicated to me, and I have ordained them. I have given to you your mind and your body. I am the substance of your body. I am that which beats your heart. I am that which governs every organ and function of your body. I did not make your body and then leave it to control itself. I made it in my image and likeness. I made it in my image and likeness. Of my substance, I knew you before you were conceived in the womb. I formed your very body in the womb. I have never left it nor forsaken it. Many times you have left me. Many times you have made false gods, gods of gold and silver, gods of pills, powders, and plasters, and looked to them for health and joy. You have looked outside for pleasures, satisfaction, for peace, and yet I am the wine of inspiration. Seek me while I may be found, and be at peace. Does the creature talk back to the creator? Does the clay talk to the potter? No, I am the potter. I am the creator, and all creation hearkens unto me. The heavens declare my glory. The earth showeth forth my handiwork. Do you know that I have given you dominion over everything on earth? Everything in the sky, everything in the waters and beneath the earth. I am the way. Live by way of me. Do not live by way of the world. Do not live by way of form, even so powerful a form as a hydrogen bomb. I am your high tower, and I am your fortress. Hide in me. Hide in the understanding that there is only one power, and I am that. Look unto me and be saved, not by might, not by power. Put up thy sword. Put up your sword. Those who live by the physical or the mental sword will die. Live by my spirit, not by might, not by power, but by my spirit. Dwell in me. Let me dwell in you. If you dwell in me, and if you let me dwell in you, if you live in the recognition that I, in the midst of you, am your true identity, your eternal life, I will draw unto you whatever is necessary for your harmonious unfoldment, be it person, place, or thing. Go into the inner sanctuary of your being and be quiet. Do not pray in public. Do not tell man what you need. Do not tell man what you would like to be done. Do not tell man what you would like to be. Do not tell man what you would like to do. Live in me. Let me live in you. And let me be the invisible presence that goes before you to prepare the way for you. Let me go before you silently, secretly, and sacredly. Do not be impatient if it takes a little time for you to reach home. You have already become involved with people and entangled in situations that you cannot leave suddenly. You will have to be led away from those without injury to the life, the well-being, or the comfort of others. You cannot have your life and well-being at the expense of others. That is not the law. Love thy neighbor as thyself is the law that you can do if you look unto me, if you understand that I, in the midst of you, am self-sustained. I guess we can stop there. So if we just take a few moments and sit in silence and reflect on these words that we just received from the inspiration that Joel received. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Gloria. That was beautiful. Beautiful. I grabbed from my book and followed along with you, and then remembered that I have it on Kindle and was able to put it in the air. Go ahead, Gloria.
Yeah, there's another page and a half, but I felt led to stop there.
Yeah,
So
I see that.
we can,
I see that.
yeah, we can resume
Um,
if anyone would like. Thanks.
yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, Lynn.
That was just, thank you, Gloria, and that was just so lovely. And I wanted to your slides, Zelma, I think it was the second or third one. Can you put those up again? Do you still have the ones from where you first started today? Because this is exactly what I was thinking. Uh, let's see. Let's see. Yes, it's this one here. Um, this is what she was just reading, that heaven is within us, that God is in the midst of us, and that we experience it. And of course, you're only going to experience what you're conscious of. So, this is what I read that when you posted that up here, and I read that, I just really went into a really deep experience of what am I, is the depth to which I'm experiencing God's presence. And, I realize that it's only as much as I'm allowing to experience, and the only as much as I'm conscious of, because it is 100%. God's presence is within us all, in the midst of us all, and we are in the midst of it as well. So this whole idea of I'm only experiencing what I'm conscious of experiencing is the key. It's actually saying, I'm the one who's making that choice. And then the habit of engaging with God and his creations is easily made if you actively refuse to let your mind slip away. And that's it, isn't it? It's, my mind is slipping away from my consciousness of God. As we said, pray in the morning, pray in the evening, then, where's God the rest of the day? And again, when you said that, I had this experience of Jesus and being like I think it was Malcolm Boyd who wrote a book back in when I was maybe in high school called Are You Running With Me, Jesus? And it was all his conversations with Jesus throughout the day, and that was the first time it hit me that I was able to have conversations with Jesus anytime I wanted to. I had really forgotten that. That is something that had slipped my consciousness, is that that I had already had a habit of connecting with God, talking to Jesus on a regular basis, and somehow or the other, I got into a place where I don't even know. I mean, it's not that I don't, but not like I did. And then this which reminded me also of what Glorian just read. We believe in the unity of all life and that the highest God and the innermost God is one God. We believe that God is personal to all who feel this indwelling presence. And again, that indwelling, he dwells within us, amidst us, and in that indwelling presence actually is or it's not just for those who feel it, it's here already, it's in everyone, but it's my consciousness of it that is allowing me to experience it or not to experience it. And then these amazing statements, Zoma, you have no idea how perfect this slide was for me today. God is in your memory. God is in everything I see because God is in my mind. Again, it is that indwelling God that is in everything I see, that is in my memory. And it's only how much I'm going to allow myself to be conscious of that. So thank you. Thank you, Zoma. Thank you, Glorian. This is just wonderful. And I'm going to let go of the mic.
Appreciate that. Yeah, Glorian, go ahead. Thank you. Thank you, Lynn. Go ahead, Glorian. Lynn, are we recording? Are you recording? Yes, it is. I see it. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I see it. I see
I
it.
want to
Okay.
thank you. I want to thank you both also. And when I saw that slide this morning, Zelma, it immediately triggered what I just read as I passed through it this morning. And what I read also capsulizes what Regis was saying. And if we just look at the synchronicity that's here in this, and Lynn also felt that same thing. She read that, and it all works together perfectly, and it never fails to amaze me. Spirit is in charge if we let it be. If we let spirit be, it's in charge. Thanks.
It's in church. Always, always, always. Again, I can't breathe without the air. Life is. And the Course says that God is life. Life is. God is. It is. And attempting to think I'm separate from it or that you're separate from me, that the isness of you is separate from the isness of me, is to deny myself the truth of what I am. And I cannot possibly live in peace. I cannot possibly live in joy if that's the way I'm thinking. It's just not possible. If I'm always wanting to point the finger out there at what you should be doing and what compared to what I am doing and I'm right and you're not, there's no peace in that. There's just no peace. And although the question, how do I come out of the dark, is not a real question, is to recognize that whatever darkness is something that we're creating ourselves. We're creating the dark. All we have to do is turn on the light. Just turn on the light. There is no darkness. There is no boogeyman. Just turn on the light. What say you, Jack? You're muted, love. You're still muted. Can't unmute? Oh, I wonder why. I didn't mute you, so I can't, no, only you can unmute you. Huh. All right. Work it out. Oh, there you
Okay.
are.
Somehow somebody let me unmute just now. Yeah, you just have to turn the light switch on. You know, it's a matter of turning the light switch off or turning the light switch back on. Now, when you know how to turn the light switch on, that's very powerful. When you have the awareness to know the light switch is there, and you just have to use your tools to turn that light switch back on. Once you learn that, you have so much power and freedom in your world and your life to be in the light. So it's a great gift once you have it.
Well, I like what you just said. You said, and once you know how, okay, so that brings me back to that question of how, which again, it's a kind of a how the question itself, how. So the one person asking, I know what I want to do. I want to turn on the light switch. How do I turn it on? How do I do this? How would you respond to that, Jack?
Who, me? Well, you know, it's like a person says, I'm going to keep on grieving until I'm finished grieving. I'm not finished grieving. I'm not going to forgive until I'm ready to forgive. You know, I mean, people hold on and just hold on and stay in the darkness because they've just committed themselves to want to hold on to something that's dark. You have to be able to, and you might say you have to be able to transcend all duality so that none of that matters anymore. And that you realize that, you know, you're holding on to something that's making you sick. And it's not really doing anything to the person that you're resenting. You know, you're the one drinking the poison when you hold on to a grievance. You're really helping yourself when you let go and you turn the light switch back on.
I appreciate that. So for those who aren't course, who don't get that course language when or the whole thing about duality, when you're talking about that duality and holding a grievance, what do you mean? I'm asking you to break that down in simpler terms. I understand.
So right, wrong, win, lose, good, bad. Yeah, I mean all the things in our world that are dualistic, right? In the ego world of form, you know, to let go of all that. You know, if you have a need to be right or a need to win, you're deep into the density of the ego thought system. You know, and it's harder to climb out of that if you have a deep conviction to be a winner or to be right. You know, that all has to be undone so that you can stay in the light and be the real winner, who is someone who chooses light and knows how to choose light.
Thank you for that. And Glorian wrote that, and it's all the result of judgment. I'm right, you're wrong. I have to win. And all that starts with a feeling of lack. I feel that I'm lacking something, or I think that you think that you're better than me, or I think that I'm not as good as you, or I want you to think that I'm better than I actually am. And that's all coming from me thinking that something is missing. And you know, and then sometimes you have to go back, well, where did that start? Did that start in childhood? Is that something that my parents, you know, put on me and I chose to accept that as truth? And am I willing to let that go? Am I really, really willing to let that go? And my life reflects it. Am I really willing to let that go? Am I seeking to try to force something to make people, I heard the word used, a hunger for, and that's a term that I've heard, a hunger for. That hunger means that you believe that something is missing, when the truth is that nothing is missing, and we have to get to that point. Question comes again, but how? Back to that. Go ahead, Sharon.
I was going to say, you know, and I probably say this a lot. I just had the shifts in 2021. I mean, I was doing the course from maybe 2007 or 2008. So it's taken a while. Spirit readiness comes in, and spirit is in charge when this happens. And so when somebody corrects a person, I always feel it's not helpful because the person has nothing to do with it. It's all mine. So for me, when your mind is ripe, the readiness comes in. And now there's no, I don't even have any kind of like doubt anymore. I mean, but the doubt couldn't have left, and it still shows up. I mean, there's still preferences, but when it does, it's not hard for me to just drop all of it. Where before, these thoughts were more, they seemed to be more powerful at the time. And so, and there was things that were happening, but when you're ready, and when I say you, because there's only one of us here, so when the popcorn is ready to pop, it'll pop. And until then, I don't see anybody. That's why I always meet everybody where they are. That's all. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Yeah, this is good. I'm going to put the questions right back up again and see if anything else comes up for anyone based on responses they already, let me see, let me get this right. Based on responses that they already see. I had, when I thought about how do I change? So the first thing that A Course in Miracles provides are principles, miracle principles. In religious science, we're taught to live by principle. In the 12-step program, the 12th tradition of the 12-step program, the 12th tradition of the 12th in the 12-step program, the last tradition ends by saying, ever seeking principles before personality. Principle before personality. And this is what came to mind for me. These were just the things that I jotted down. First of all, synonyms for the word principle are the basis, your foundation, to your cause, as Regis kind of said, the intention, your cause, the birthplace, the starting place, the place from where living starts. If we're living by principle, I was telling someone yesterday, it's like the lighthouse. It's not moving, it's not changing, it's always the same. It's always the same. And Thomas Troward should be there. Said that principle is not bound by precedent. Principle is not bound by precedent. And what that means is the past is not the determiner. In the Course, it says the past is not the determiner of the future. In chapter 13, section 4 in the Course, I'm going there. It talks about in the section called the function of time, in section 4 of chapter 13. And I will put that on the screen. All right, let's see if I can do this. I can bring this over here. Tell me if you see the Course come on the screen. Did you see the Course come on the screen? Somebody say yes, please.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am. No Course on the screen. All right, let me stop sharing that. Stop. I'm not succeeding at this today. All right. And there it is. The function of time. In the section on the function of time, and starting in paragraph 4, it says that the ego has a strange notion of time. And the ego, we're talking ego versus Holy Spirit, not kind of like the devil and the Holy Spirit, although neither is real. The ego is the belief in separation. The ego is the belief that I'm on my own. I got this. God, you just stay over there while I do this. And that's a thought system. That's a thought system. And the Holy Spirit thought system is the recognition that it is all one. That same spirit is the one spirit, and we're using that thought system to rule our lives. We're using that thought system, we're using that voice to listen to rule our lives. The ego has a strange notion of time. The ego invests heavily in the past, and in the end believes that the past is the only aspect of time that is meaningful. Now, I've already said, principle is not bound by precedent. Principle is not bound by precedent. what the truth is not bound by the past. The truth is always now. It's emphasis on guilt. We're talking about this ego thought system. The emphasis on guilt. Somebody has to be guilty. I'm right, you're wrong. I'm the victim. You're the villain. What you did is unforgivable, but what I did was just a mistake. Its emphasis on guilt enables it to ensure its continuity by making the future like the past. In other words, my tomorrows are going to be like my yesterdays because I'm still holding on to the yesterdays, and thus avoiding the present. So basically, I'm attempting to use now. I'm using now to wonder about the future. What was that? What was the question about the future question? How do I look into the, I don't even remember what the actual question was, how that was written. The question was, how do I have faith in the unknown, develop faith in the unknown, come out of the dark? Well, that's impossible. There is no dark. I'm making that up. But anyway, I am attempting to bring the past into the present, use the present as a way to bring the past to take it to the future. It's like dragging that same suitcase for a long, long time. By the notion of paying for the past and the future, the past becomes the determiner of the future. So when you're saying that, when you're always saying that all my life stuff, you keep talking about, well, the way it used to be, and you keep bringing it up. And it's not, you don't use it as examples. It's time to let it go. Time to let that go. By the notion of paying for the past in the future, the past becomes the determiner of the future, making them continuous without an intervening present. For the ego regards the present only as a brief transition to the future, in which it's bringing the past to the future by interpreting the present in past terms. I'm saying that now, what's happening now is based on something that happened before. Yeah, because yesterday it was like that. That means it's that way today too. Just because I was, I'm not wearing the same clothes I had on yesterday. I'm not thinking the exact same thoughts I thought yesterday. Well, that applies to others as well. And we're ready to give ourselves a chance to recognize our own change. We're not willing to give others a chance. We need to do that. Now has no meaning to the ego. The present merely reminds it of past hurts. It's time to decide to let it go. And it reacts to the present as if it were the past. So I hear it said, yeah, well, that the way that person spoke to me reminds me of how I heard it in the past, of how my parents used to be, or something like that. That sort of thing. That's what that's saying. The present merely reminds it of past hurts, and it reacts to the present as if it were the past. In other words, now I'm going to treat that person like the people in the past treated me, based on how they treated me in the past. Those people in the past didn't let me blah, blah, blah. But now that person is doing the same thing. No, it's me bringing that's a whole different person. It's a whole different something. It's a whole, and it's up to me to decide on a different way of looking at it. The ego cannot tolerate release from the past. The ego cannot tolerate release from the past. So not only is it saying, well, all my life it's saying, and so still today I. The ego cannot tolerate release from the past. And by the way, that all my life, that comes out of the movie The Color Purple. The ego cannot tolerate release from the past, and although the past is over, the ego tries to preserve its image by responding as if it were present. Yesterday is not today. The ego dictates your reactions to those you meet in the present from a past reference point. Even if it's the same person you saw yesterday, that's not that person. They're different today, just like you're different today. You come with new something today. You have to be willing to have faith, have at least an understanding that person doesn't have to be the way they were yesterday, but you have to look at the fact that you don't have to be the way you were yesterday either. So if you're coming with the same attitude that you came yesterday, then yes, you can expect the same thing today. You have to be willing to make a change. You have to be willing to make a change. Again, I repeat, the course teaches us that only what we don't bring is what's lacking. Not wait for them to do this, that, or the other. Not wait for them to act differently, to say something different from what they said yesterday. I need to come with, I'm willing to come with something different today because I want a different outcome. If I want a different outcome, then I have to be willing to do something different. The ego dictates your reactions to those you meet in the present from a past reference point, obscuring their present reality. In effect, if you follow the ego's dictates, you will react to anyone as though they were someone else. In other words, as though they were yesterday, the person they were yesterday. And this will surely prevent you from recognizing him as he is. And you will receive messages from that person out of your own past, not their past. Just because they didn't speak yesterday doesn't necessarily mean they won't speak today if you speak. And if they respond, fine. If they don't, I mean, they may have a thing. Everybody has a thing. We all have a thing. We all have a thing. And the second that we think that they do, but we don't, we're causing ourselves grief. We're causing ourselves problems. We're making ourselves better than, or making them less than, or the other way around. However the case, we're comparing. And the ego only lives by comparison. We have to break it down and bring it all down to the same level, to the same level, to the same level. And thus you deny, and by making it real in the present, by making yesterday real today, you're forbidding yourself to let it go. By making last week, last month, last year, 10 years, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, by making it real in the present, you are forbidding yourself to let it go. You thus deny yourself the message of release that you can receive right now. And here it comes, the shadowy figures from the past. There's the darkness. The shadowy figures from the past are precisely what you must escape. They're not real, and they have no hold over you unless you bring them with you. The past, the shadowy figures from the past. Notice, it's not the past. It's the shadowy figures from the past. It's the shadow. In the Bible is written, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. It's not saying you're walking through the valley of death, because there is no death. It's all shadows. It's all shadows. And it's my own shadows that are scaring me. It's my own shadows that I'm getting angry about. It's my own shadows that I'm judging. It's not them out there. It's my thoughts, my beliefs about them out there. It's not the thing out there that's the problem. It's never the thing out there that's the problem. It's what I think about it. I'm never upset for the reason I think is one of the A Course in Miracles lessons. I am never upset for the reason I think. I'm upset, I say, because I'm thinking in the first place. I think I know, and I don't. I don't. The shadowy figures from the past are precisely what you must escape. They are not real and have no hold over you unless you bring them with you. It's these shadowy figures from the past that carry the spots of pain in your mind, directing you to attack yourself and others to attack in the present in retaliation for a past that is no more. That's what I just said, where you think that because somebody said something, they spoke to you the way, so my mother used to shush me when I was a child. So if somebody shushes me, I can do the rebellious thing, just say it anyway. I can do that. Or I can recognize, I don't know what their thing is, that their reason for shushing me. Maybe I need to shush in that moment. I need to look at that. But that's not my mother. That's not then. I'm not 2. I'm not 4. I'm not a child anymore. I'm not that little child anymore. Today, I'm giving myself an opportunity to raise myself and not live by what the way from a past perspective. The shadowy figures from the past, they carry the spots of pain in your mind, directing you to attack in the present in retaliation for a past that is no more. And this decision is one of future pain. This decision is one of future pain. I can't make it stop. I can't. I can't compare them to my mama. I can't compare them to my daddy. I can't compare them to the old boyfriend. I can't compare them to the school teacher. I can't compare them to the employer. I can't compare them to anyone. I can't compare anything to anything. Again, the ego lives by comparison. It's not real. No two blades of grass are the same. How can I compare this situation to that one? It's not the same, because the people involved are different. The time is different, even if it is the same people involved. The time is different. I'm different. Everything has changed. Everything that, and the temporal stuff that you see, hear, smell, taste, and touch, it has all changed. It's not the same. Unless you learn that past pain is an illusion, you are choosing a future of illusions and losing the many opportunities you could find for release in the present. Because this ego, this made up thing, would preserve your nightmares and prevent you from understanding they are past. I'm going to leave that right there. This was what woke me. This is where I had my awakening. Back in 1992, December the 7th, 1992 is what I read that it opened the door for me. Maybe it'll open the door for you. Maybe it won't. I'm going to go back to these questions. I'm going to go back, put that back on the screen. Or so I think. Or so I think. Where is it? Oh, back to that, huh? Nope. I don't want to do that again. Back to the questions. I am going to, oh, I'm looking at, you're looking at screen one, aren't you? I want to be on screen two. This is so confusing to me. I thought I had a good handle on this screen one, screen two thing. And now I'm confusing myself with it. But okay. On screen two. Here we go. The question, how can I have faith in the unknown? How do I develop faith in the unknown? How do I come out of the dark? We talked about I want to change, and how do I change? And we came up with all these things. You rest in God, and I will provide this entire this whole video will be available on YouTube as soon as we're finished here. I'm going to go back to what I was saying about living by principle. If I'm living by principle, if I'm following the principle, it's written in the Bible that Jesus said, "If you do what I do, happy are you if you do it." Happy are you if you do it. It's one thing to know it. I can sit here and talk this stuff all day long. Yeah, I know that, and I read that, and yep, and I, the one thing I know about me, and I think the thing that you know about me is, what you know right now is that I'm just sitting here in front of this computer and I'm talking. You don't know. Do you know if I live by principle? Let my actions speak for me. Principle is not bound by precedent. Principle is not bound by precedent. The past has no bearing on the present or the future unless you think it does. Your thoughts are rooted in time. Your thoughts can be uprooted and changed if you so desire. You want to know how? This is my how. When past thoughts arise, immediately choose to see them differently. If the thoughts that I'm having are causing me pain, I have the ability to change my thoughts. Just change the channel. I can do that. You can change your mind about anything whenever you so choose. Anytime you can make a change. Oh, that reminds me of Man in the Mirror. Man in the Mirror. That would be a great song for now. But I am going to get off the mic. It is now 12 o'clock, a minute of. I am going to give the mic back to you, Lynn. Thank you so much. And thank you to the two ladies that gave me these questions. I will be sharing this with them before day's end. Thank you.
Thank you,
Love
Zulma. This was masterful. I am just so grateful you stayed on and did this. And thanks everyone who hung out with us.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And yep, it will be available on Zoom, on YouTube.